morning. I'm Tiana Cole with the HGP Nightly News' Week in Review. Here's a recap of the top stories covered within the past week. The People's Progressive Party Civic says it is not worried about the conviction of fraudster Ed Ahmad, now that he has secured several lucrative land deals in Guyana. Here is more.
Before the Central Housing and Planning Authority, and by extension the People's Progressive Party civic government, inked any agreement with convicted fraudster Ed Ahmad, it would appear as though there was no consideration whether Ed Ahmad might still be under active investigation by the Federal Bureau of Investigation. In fact, Ed Ahmad's friend, the country's sitting vice president and the general secretary of the PPPC, Barra Jagdeo, seemed to have been caught between a rock and a hard place when he was asked about Ahmad's dealings with the ruling party.
So you got my answer there. Ask CHNPA if they took that into consideration when they awarded him the contract.
Ed Ahmad has inked an agreement for the purchase of land near ExxonMobil's new headquarters at Ogle, East Coast Demerara, to build an upscale residential complex. Mr. Ahmad signed the agreement in the capacity of Director Secretary of the new Global Investment Corporation. Mr. Jagdeo doesn't believe that his friend's conviction should prevent him from getting land deals or any other business in Guyana.
But to tell me that about people's past criminality, so they must not get any benefit from the country anymore. If that's the case, then we might as well say anybody who has had a conviction.
The agreement, which was signed on July 17, 2024, provides for the land to be used to construct upscale residential developments within the residential zone only, consisting of residential dwellings, townhouses, and apartments in accordance with the project proposal.
There are lots of people who have been convicted in this country and still are getting contracts, benefits from people. There are lots of them, PNC people too.
Mr. Ahmad was convicted and jailed in the U.S. in 2017 for mortgage fraud. He also has been ordered to pay U.S. $2.6 million to the victims. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News.
Also on Monday, President Irfan Ali has emphasized the need for his government to be strategic in the face of the United States' plan to boost oil and gas production, while lowering consumers' prices to combat inflation. Antonio Day reports.
With mere 7 days to go before the opening of the 4th Annual Guyana Energy Conference and Supply Chain Expo, President Irfan Ali said that Guyana's economy will likely be severely impacted by recent actions taken by the new United States government as it pushed towards the expansion of its oil and gas exploration. President Ali, speaking on Sunday on the podcast Energy Perspective, said that Guyana must be prepared for any eventualities.
That is what we have been communicating to the Guyanese people from day one. That is, we have to be responsible in the way we manage the resources from oil and gas. And that is why it is so critical for us to pursue economic diversification.
President Ali pointed specifically to United States President Donald Trump's national energy emergency measures.
We have to be aware of these policy interventions, these trade interventions.
According to Ali, the government is using oil revenues to improve infrastructure, health, education, housing, and social services, aiming to establish Guyana as a key food production hub. And with energy prices set to significantly decrease due to transformative gas-to-energy project at Wales in Region 3, the president said that it is time to articulate a plan on the type of transport and logistics development needed.
We have to look at not only the major industry, the large industries, but look at all the micro and medium-sized enterprises that can be developed out of this great potential when energy price will come down.
Trinidad and Tobago, the president pointed, utilized revenues from its oil for cheap energy costs to develop its strong manufacturing and agro-processing sectors. Antonio Day reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
On Tuesday, Although hesitant about rejoining the Partnership for National Unity, the Working People's Alliance and the People's National Congress Reform have signed a coalition pact. Here is more.
The Working People's Alliance and the People's National Congress Reform will contest the 2025 general and regional elections in partnership. Co-lead of the Working People's Alliance, Dr. David Hines, confirmed this during a Monday morning press conference.
WPA will be going into coalition with PNC, and the PNC has said the same.
Dr. Hines said the logistical aspects of the pact with the PNCR are currently being worked out.
It's a matter of working out the logistics of how WPA being outside of the APNU, all that will play itself out in a practical way.
He underscored that while the WPA is hesitant about rejoining the Partnership for National Unity, it is still committed to coalition politics. Dion Abrams, an executive member, believes his party did not want to risk splitting the opposition votes as it seeks to defeat the PPPC.
We do not wish, we do so with the full knowledge that our party lacks the electoral appeal to win an election on its own. Should we go into an election on our own, we risk splitting the opposition vote and ensuring a return of the PPP to power.
Abrams believed that the Working People's Alliance could play a major role in defeating the PPP at the upcoming polls.
Given the fact that our last 3 elections were decided by one seat, we are aware that the votes of a small electoral party such as the WPA could make the difference between keeping the PPP in or throwing them out of office. Those who have pledged their support to the WPA are adamant that they do so, partly to ensure the latter.
The party said it was also agreed that the work of the joint opposition parties should be broadened to include other forms of political engagement. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News.
Stay tuned to find out what other interesting stories made the news this week.
Interested in honoring or paying tribute to a loved one, or just making a loved one feel special? HGP TV offers you all that and more. Air your birthday greetings, death announcements, and wedding anniversaries on HGP TV today. HGP TV offers affordable prices, convenience, and great services. Call us on 220-3660 or email us at sales@hgptv.com.
Thanks for staying with us here on the HGP Nightly News this week in review. Also on Tuesday, the only way of holding the government accountable for allegations of corruption and malpractice is through exposing and voting them out. That's the position of Alliance for Change's chairman, David Patterson. Antonio Day has more.
I want the citizens to hold them accountable by voting them out.
That was Alliance for Change AFC's David Patterson during a recent press conference. Patterson, in his analysis of the 2025 capital expenditures, accused the government of shifting its attention away from human resource development.
During the recently completed budget debate, several presenters highlighted the wasteful and slothfulness of the implementation of the government's capital work program.
The AFC chairman divulged that Guyana's infrastructure sector received a budgetary allocation of $252.8 billion. This mammoth investment will fund a range of transformative projects, including major road upgrades and the enhancement of transportation networks across the country. He reasoned that large sums of monies are also being expended on several incomplete projects, while human resources development is placed on the back burner.
Between 2020 and 2024, the PPP has expended $1.505 trillion Guyana dollars. That equates to $7.3 billion US dollars.
He gave an example of the Gas to Shore Energy project, which recently received a $51 billion budgetary allocation.
The recent announcement by the Prime Minister that the earliest completion date of the Gas to Shore project is now November of this year, 2025, should be cause for concerns to the citizens and is a clear indication of how badly managed this project has been.
He remarked that once the AFC assumes office in 2025, all friends and favorites of the ruling Ali regime will be held accountable.
We will hold not only the government, but we will hold the persons that were the beneficiaries of these very generous deals. Every single day you go on to Facebook, they show you the poor performance that's being done. There are persons that are highlighting the friends and family contracts, and together with them, we will be able to hold this entire government accountable.
Antonio Day reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
On Wednesday, businessman Azadin Mohammed has denied sexual allegations leveled against him by a 17-year-old girl. He says the mischief makers are out. Travis Chase has more.
Alleging that political mischief is afoot, well-known businessman Azadin Mohammed has completely denied claims of sexual abuse of a teenage girl. Through his attorneys UC Anderson, Renee Marcus, and Cassidy Nurse, Mohammed said he is open to a full investigation of the claims by local and international investigators. A young lady who said she is 17 years old, during an interview with social media commentator turned government contractor Michael Rodriguez, claimed that she was allegedly sexually assaulted by the businessman and his team during a visit to her indigenous community of Santa Aratak, located in the Comuni Creek Region 3. She claims the incident took place in December of 2024. Nightly News contacted Tusha of the village the young lady claims she is from, and he had this to say.
I didn't recognize the girl, and I was not around when Mr. Mohammed visited the community in October. But everybody knows politics is in the air, right? And if you need to do your political game, please take it somewhere else. Leave Santa Arta clear. Because all what Mr. Mohammed is coming in this community and do is share things to the people, spend around 2 minutes, and then he leave and go on his way.
The businessman and team Mohammed said they are willing to submit themselves to any polygraph test administered by competent foreign security agencies. While the young lady claims that she did not tell anyone of the alleged abuse, Nightly News understands that the businessman on Tuesday lodged a report at the cybercrime section of the Brickdam police station against the teen. Contacted for a comment, Mohammed told Nightly News that he has never seen or spoken to the young lady, nor would he indulge in what he is being accused of. He said since he signaled his political ambitions, he has been subjected to the most vile attacks on social media. He reminded that Michael Rodriguez, well known as the Guyanese critic, who is currently facing a multi-million-dollar lawsuit by the Mohammed's family and their company, is known to be a political mischief maker. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News.
Still on news from Wednesday. Residents of Santa Aratak Mission are concerned that their village is now at the center of a recent rape allegation being made against businessman Azadin Mohammed. More details in this Daisy Richards report.
Following allegations of rape against businessman Azadin Mohammed, residents of Santa Aratak Mission are now worried about the village's reputation after its name was used by the alleged victim. Tusha of the community, Christopher Govaya, said politics should be taken somewhere else.
So, let us carry that nonsense somewhere. Don't bring it to this community, because it's not like that. We don't know her.
A resident of the community had much to say on the matter, highlighting that the blame will not be placed on the person who conducted the interview, but rather on the residents of the village.
Because it is our Santa Mission that is being tarnished. Yeah. Right? It's not only, when you hear about Santa Mission, it's not only one person can get blamed. You know, everybody's going to look at us. And my children, your children, everybody here.
The woman said the village has become a major tourist destination and this might decrease the flow of foot traffic through their community.
This is our community. And we are a tourism port too, where people would normally come to visit us. And this now going against our name can really be bad. You know, we will see a lot of visitors visiting here.
For HGP Nightly News, I am Daisy Richards.
More of the top stories of the past week after the break. Stay tuned.
Interested in honoring or paying tribute to a loved one, or just making a loved one feel special? HGP TV offers you all that and more. Air your birthday greetings, death announcements, and wedding anniversaries on HGP TV today. HGP TV offers affordable prices, convenience, and great services. Call us on 220-3660 or email us at sales@hgptv.com.
Thanks for staying with us. On Thursday, with Guyana continuing to face provocation and aggressive rhetoric from Venezuela, Chief of the Armed Forces, President Irfan Ali, on Thursday addressed the Guyana's readiness to respond to any escalation that threatens national security. Find out more in this report. During the opening of the Guyana Defense Forces Annual Officers Conference 2025 at Camp Ghana, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Irfan Ali, said Venezuela's ongoing controversy over Guyana's Essequibo region remains a serious and persistent threat to the nation's sovereignty and territorial integrity. He emphasized that Guyana must remain resolute in defending its sovereignty while continuing to pursue a peaceful resolution through the International Court of Justice, ICJ.
We must remain vigilant and prepared to respond to any escalation that threatens our national security.
The president added that despite the matter being rightfully before the ICJ for resolution, Guyana continues to face acts of provocation and aggressive rhetoric from Venezuela.
These actions not only undermine the principles of international law and peaceful coexistence, but also create an atmosphere of uncertainty and tension.
To counter these threats, the president said, Guyana continues to bolster its military capabilities, strengthen diplomatic efforts, and expand relationships, particularly with allies.
That ensures the GDF remains a capable, agile, and forward-thinking institution, prepared to protect our people and our nation.
Meanwhile, Chief of Defense Staff Omar Khan stated in his remarks that the two-day conference will focus on integrating combat support to optimize defense operations. He reaffirmed that while Guyana remains committed to the principle of non-aggression, it must be prepared.
But we have to remain vigilant and militant in the face of all and any threat. And we must be ready to deter and resist any threat.
He added that the men and women of the Guyana Defense Force are confident in the operational posture to execute their defense mandate to define, deter, and defend. Tiana Cole reporting for the HGP Nightly News. Also on Thursday. Meanwhile, with Guyanese preparing to go to the polls later this year, President Irfan Ali on Thursday reaffirmed that the Guyana Defense Force stands ready to execute its constitutional duties. Find out more in this report. While delivering the feature address at the opening of the Guyana Defense Forces Annual Officers Conference 2025 at Camp Ghana, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Irfan Ali, stated, as Guyana prepares for its general and regional elections later this year, the Guyana Defense Force remains committed to maintaining peace, order, and sustaining democracy in the country. He urged the country's military to remain vigilant against any attempt to disrupt order.
While we do not anticipate unrest or anything that is contrary to the rule of law, we must remain vigilant against any attempt to unsettle internal order.
The president also emphasized that members of the armed forces are free to exercise their right to vote as they choose. However, he made it clear that professionalism must be maintained at all times.
Every member of the force has a right to vote according to the dictates of their conscience. And as long as I'm Commander-in-Chief, their right will be respected. The professionalism of the military will be always upheld.
It was also noted that elections are a fundamental pillar of democracy, and the process must take place in an environment free from intimidation, violence, or disruption. He stressed that Guyana's democracy is grounded on free, fair, and peaceful elections.
Our duty is to the nation, to its security, and the preservation of law and order, not to any political interests.
He reiterated that every effort must be made to ensure elections are conducted in a safe and fair environment.
It did not go without notice some comments made recently by some political leaders in this regard.
Tiana Cole reporting for the HGP Nightly News. And finally, on Friday, days after Transparency International released its latest report, scoring Guyana 39 out of 100 countries on the Corruption Perception Index, CSI, President Irfan Ali strongly criticized the report, calling it dishonest and misleading. More in this report. On Thursday, President Irfan Ali dismissed the recent report released by Corruption Perception Index, CPI, which placed Guyana at 39 out of 100 countries, stating that it failed to reflect the reality of his administration's efforts to tackle corruption. President Ali accused Transparency International of relying on perception rather than facts, arguing that the report was biased against his government. The visibly upset president argued that the organization did not base its findings on factual data, but instead relied on subjective perceptions, resulting in what he called a highly flawed and tainted report.
Imagine the level of dishonesty with Transparency International here and wherever they send their perception.
Ali also referenced the 2020 post-election crisis.
Imagine in 2020, when you had a government that was illegally occupying office, when you had a government that disregarded a no-confidence motion and ruling of the court, when you had a government that spent more than $600 billion without parliamentary oversight.
In dismissing the Transparency International's report, the president highlighted his administration's progress in persecuting corruption cases. He argued that more public officials and government workers have faced disciplinary actions under his leadership than ever before, yet the country was given a lower score.
What is this? What nonsense is this? What mischief and misinformation is this? None of this matters? None of this matters?
Ali also noted the inconsistency in Transparency International's ranking, stating that Guyana received a higher score in 2020, despite widespread allegations of corruption, misappropriation of funds, and alleged electoral fraud under the previous administration. In 2020, Guyana scored 40 and ranked 85 out of 180 countries on the Corruption Perceptions Index. The report also stated that while Guyana has established anti-corruption laws and institutions, enforcement remains weak, and attacks on dissenting voices, activists, and journalists are becoming more frequent. Tiana Cole reporting for the HGP Nightly News. The political opposition says implementing cameras in respective polling stations lack political sense. The larger party in the parliamentary coalition said it is not prepared to accept such a decision. More in this Daisy Richards report.
On Friday, during the Leader of the Opposition's weekly press conference, Aubrey Norton says his party will not accept cameras in polling stations, a move that was suggested by Guyana Elections Commission GCOM's Chief Election Officer, Vishnu Prasad.
With a government that intimidates and instills fear in Guyanese, if you put cameras in the polling station, here what they will do. They will go around and say, we don't know how you can vote. And if you don't vote for me, we can deal with you.
Norton highlighted that the idea is meritless.
This idea of putting cameras in a polling station lacks political sense.
The opposition leader took the opportunity to recount what allegedly transpired during the 2020 elections.
Old people to walk with the phone and take out where they place the X so that they could know.
Norton explained that his party will intensify efforts to ensure the results from the 2025 general and regional elections reflect the will of the people.
Our interest is in free, fair, and credible election, and we must have biometrics.
Several political parties have joined forces and have called on GCOM to implement biometrics for the upcoming elections, but the elections body said implementing biometrics at this time is not practical given the limited time remaining in the lead up to the elections. In the meantime, the elections body is yet to officially announce the date when Guyanese will go to the polls. For HGP Nightly News, I am Daisy Richards.
That has brought us to the end of the HGP Nightly News' Week in Review. On behalf of the Nightly News team, thanks for watching.